America Talks Live. Now let's shift gears and talk about Harvey Weinstein. A New York City grand jury has indicted Weinstein on multiple rape and sex crimes charges. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office says this brings Weinstein one step closer to accountability for his alleged crimes. Now, of course, the former Hollywood producer faces decades behind bars for these charges, this all coming after dozens of women accused Weinstein of sexual misconduct. Weinstein is denying all of these allegations.
And that's where we want to welcome in our next guest. We're pleased to have Lionel. He's an Emmy Award-winning legal and media analyst. You can also find him on YouTube at Lionel Nation. Thank you so much for your time today.
Now, Lionel, I having been former NYPD, I'm a little close to this. I've never worked with the lead prosecutor on this case, although I have two friends who have had cases with her. Her name is Joan Illuzzi. She's actually a Republican. She ran for as a Republican for District Attorney of Staten Island. She has a history of making very hard to make cases. In fact, she was secured a successful conviction in the Eitan Pates murder case, a little boy who was abducted in New York City years and years later. To me, Lionel, this spells disaster for Harvey Weinstein. I think he's going to jail for a very, very long time. What do you think?
Well, it depends upon the facts of the case. I was a prosecutor in my nascent legal career, and the greatest prosecutor in the world isn't able to make chicken salad out of, and you know where that works. This is a chicken salad buffet. There are so many. Let me, though, warn you, the problem that we have here is the rather archaic language of New York's sexual rape and criminal battery statutes. I mean, they're not what you think. I don't want to go into detail, but suffice it to say, what you might consider to be threatening behavior may not necessarily qualify under the statute. And there may also not be the actual sexual contact that is required pursuant to the rape statute.
Well, I will tell you this. I've arrested people under those statutes, and I will agree with you. They're a bit rudimentary for today's times. They do require, to say it delicately, the mechanical definitions in those statutes do make securing convictions a bit more difficult. So I'll give you that. But wouldn't you argue that these are pretty credible complaining victims and witnesses? They're going to carry weight with the jury.
Oh, I would certainly think so, if not for the testimony, but the multiplicity. Let me also add the possibility of federal charges coming in.
Sure.
Because that's one of the reasons why people were suspecting that Cy Vance, the district attorney, all of a sudden said, oh, now we got to get down to it, because it was perceived perhaps maybe that he was dragging his feet. But this is still a question. This is not stranger. And I'm not trying to minimize this whatsoever. But may I just tell you something? He has one of the best criminal lawyers in New York, Ben Brafman. But when Harvey Weinstein shows up to court with carrying a couple of books, one, the Elia Kazan biography, the name dropper, the one who provided the information for the HUAC committee, and also smiling. He looked like he was going to the DMV. Optics means something. Yeah. And I don't know what they told him or how they told him to act, but it was a smirk. Now, that being said, did you catch this week when he said Harvey's decided not to appear before the grand jury because we don't have enough time? No lawyer with two neurons that rub together would let their client appear before a grand jury about anything.
Right, because their attorney is not allowed.
Disaster,
right.
Nothing.
The defendant's attorney isn't allowed to be inside the grand jury proceeding. It's a prosecutor's forum. That was really just a PR stunt. I absolutely
it's a setup
agree
for
with you
perjury,
on that.
too.
Yes.
In the couple of minutes that we have remaining in this segment, I want to switch gears and talk a little bit about Roseanne still dominating the headlines. President Trump doubling down again on his call for Bob Iger and ABC News to apologize, claiming the network has offended millions of people. He also mentioned reporter Brian Ross, who, as you may recall, the network suspended after he reported a major fact error in a breaking news story about Michael Flynn. Of course, this all comes after actress Roseanne Barr apologized for a tweet that she posted about former Obama official Valerie Jarrett. ABC canceled her hit sitcom, and Iger called Jarrett to let her know the network wouldn't tolerate those comments. Now, you may recall Roseanne went off Twitter, then she went back on Twitter saying this, I made a mistake. Please don't try and defend me. But now she appears to be kind of fighting back, saying that she's going to carefully examine all of her options. So you say good. What are her options?
Well, first of all, whom did Bob Iger call first? Roseanne or Valerie Jarrett? I find that interesting. This is what America wants. First of all, I'm not here to justify, much less explain, what this tweet meant or whether it was appropriate or not. All I want is for Roseanne to be treated like everybody else. I want her to get the Keith Olbermann treatment. You know what he said. I want her to get, maybe we'll find out about Samantha Bee, our latest example of this, or the Joy Behar treatment, or maybe the Joy Reid treatment, where she not only tweeted, oh, she didn't tweet, but she wrote the most scathing Islamophobic and xenophobic. Look, it comes down to simply this. In this country, if you're certain people, you can say anything about the president, his family. It doesn't matter. It's comedy. It's comedy. But if you're Roseanne, and from the get-go, you know and I know they had her set up to fail. They were waiting.
I believe that. I believe that.
Yes, he is.
I've been saying that for days, Lionel.
Has been saying that forever. But we didn't really get into what legal options she has, and we're running out of time. So I want to see if we can just touch on that quickly in our next block, if we can. So don't go away. We're going to be back with a lot more. We also want to talk about Kim Kardashian's visit to the White House, about prison reform, why some are criticizing her, but really is that right? And again, is this hypocritical?